The story of the British Empire begins on a small island nation off the coast of Europe. England, with its strategic location and fierce maritime tradition, was uniquely positioned for global power. England's early forays into the world were driven by a thirst for wealth and a desire to compete with rival European powers. One of the first key milestones was the unification of England under a single crown. This newfound unity allowed English monarchs to focus their attention on expanding their influence beyond the island's shores. The conquest of Wales and Ireland followed, marking the beginning of England's imperial ambitions. These early conquests, though brutal, provided valuable resources and manpower that would fuel England's rise to power. England's ambitions were soon set on the wider world. The discovery of the Americas by European explorers opened up new frontiers for exploration and colonization. English explorers, driven by the promise of riches and adventure, set sail across the Atlantic, planting the seeds for what would become a vast global empire. The small island nation was on the verge of becoming a global superpower. England's early colonial ventures were marked by both success and failure. The first permanent English settlement in North America was Jamestown, Virginia, established in 1607. This fragile colony faced numerous challenges, including disease, starvation, and conflict with Native Americans. Despite these hardships, Jamestown survived and became a foothold for further English expansion in the New World. The colonization of North America was driven by a number of factors, including the search for religious freedom, the desire for land, and the pursuit of economic opportunity. English settlers established colonies along the Atlantic coast, displacing and often clashing with indigenous populations. The arrival of Europeans had a profound and often devastating impact on the native peoples of the Americas. While England was establishing its presence in North America, it was also making inroads in other parts of the world. The East India Company, chartered in 1600, was granted a monopoly on trade with the East Indies. This powerful company established trading posts and colonies in India, gradually expanding its influence over the subcontinent. The East India Company's activities laid the foundation for British rule in India, which would last for centuries. Over the next 2 centuries, the British Empire continued to expand at an astonishing rate. Through a combination of military conquests, strategic alliances, and shrewd diplomacy, Britain amassed territories across the globe. From the Caribbean to the South Pacific, the British flag flew over a vast and diverse collection of colonies, dominions, and protectorates. One of the key factors in Britain's imperial success was its naval dominance. The Royal Navy, the most powerful navy in the world, played a crucial role in protecting British interests overseas, projecting British power, and facilitating trade and communication within the empire. Britannia Rules the Waves became more than just a patriotic song, it was a statement of fact. The vastness of the British Empire led to the saying, "The sun never sets on the British Empire." This phrase captured the sheer geographic scope of British possessions and the idea that at any given time, the sun was shining on at least one part of the empire. This global reach brought with it immense wealth, power, and prestige, but also tremendous responsibility and the potential for exploitation and conflict. The expansion and consolidation of the British Empire came at a terrible human cost. One of the darkest chapters in British history is the transatlantic slave trade. Millions of Africans were forcibly transported to the Americas to work on plantations producing sugar, tobacco, cotton, and other crops that fueled the British economy. The conditions endured by enslaved Africans were horrific. They were treated as property, subjected to brutal treatment, and denied basic human rights. The profits from the slave trade and slavery enriched British slave traders, plantation owners, and investors, contributing to the growth of British industry and commerce. The legacy of slavery continues to cast a long shadow on British society and its relationship with its former colonies. While slavery was eventually abolished throughout the British Empire in the 19th century, other forms of exploitation continued. In India, for example, the British East India Company and later the British government implemented policies that favoured British economic interests at the expense of Indian industries and workers. The extraction of resources, combined with discriminatory policies, led to widespread poverty and hardship in India. Section 5. Ruling the waves, economic dominance and industrial might. The British Empire played a pivotal role in shaping the global economy. Britain's Industrial Revolution, which began in the late 18th century, transformed the country into the world's first industrialized nation. British factories churned out vast quantities of goods, which were then shipped to markets across the empire. The British Empire provided a captive market for British manufactured goods and a source of raw materials. This system of mercantilism, in which colonies were expected to serve the economic interests of the mother country, was a key driver of British economic growth and prosperity. London became the centre of global finance, and the British pound became the world's leading currency. The Industrial Revolution brought with it significant social and environmental changes. The growth of factories and urban centres led to overcrowding, pollution and poor working conditions for many. However, it also led to technological innovations, increased productivity and a rise in living standards for some segments of society. The British Empire's economic might and industrial prowess would have a lasting impact on the world. Section 6. The Empire at War, Conflicts and Conquests. The British Empire was forged and maintained through military power. Throughout its history, Britain was involved in numerous wars, both within its colonies and against other European powers. These conflicts were often brutal and costly, resulting in the loss of countless lives and widespread destruction. One of the most significant conflicts was the 7 Years' War, which took place from 1756 to 1763. This war pitted Britain against France and its allies. This global conflict, fought in Europe, North America and India, resulted in a decisive British victory, cementing British control over Canada and India and establishing Britain as the world's dominant naval power. Other notable conflicts included the American Revolutionary War, which lasted from 1775 to 1783, leading to the independence of the United States, and the Napoleonic Wars from 1803 to 1850, which saw Britain emerge victorious against Napoleon Bonaparte's France. These wars, though costly, helped to secure British dominance in the 19th century. Section 7. Winds of Change, the Seeds of Decline. By the late 19th century, the British Empire, once seemingly invincible, began to show signs of strain. The rise of nationalism within its colonies, coupled with growing economic competition from other industrialized nations, such as Germany and the United States, challenged British hegemony. The First World War, which took place from 1914 to 1918, proved to be a turning point. Although Britain and its allies emerged victorious, the war had a devastating impact on the British economy and manpower. The war also fueled nationalist movements in colonies like India, where Indians had fought bravely for the British Empire and now demanded greater autonomy. The rise of anti-colonial sentiment, combined with the economic burdens of maintaining a global empire, led to a gradual shift in British policy. After World War II, which lasted from 1939 to 1945, Britain granted independence to India, Pakistan and Ceylon, now known as Sri Lanka, marking the beginning of the end of the British Empire. Section 8. A Legacy in Ruins, the End of Empire. The decades following World War II witnessed the rapid dismantling of the British Empire. One by one, former British colonies gained their independence, often after protracted struggles against colonial rule. The Suez Crisis of 1956, in which Britain, France and Israel invaded Egypt after the nationalization of the Suez Canal, demonstrated the limits of British power in a post-colonial world. By the end of the 20th century, the British Empire had all but vanished. Hong Kong, Britain's last major colony, was returned to China in 1997, marking the symbolic end of an era. The once mighty empire had been reduced to a scattering of overseas territories and dependencies. The decline and fall of the British Empire was a complex and multifaceted process. It was brought about by a combination of factors, including the rise of nationalism, economic competition, changing global power dynamics, and the moral bankruptcy of colonialism itself. Section 9. Echoes of the Past. The British Empire's enduring impact. The British Empire may be a thing of the past, but its legacy continues to shape the world we live in today. The English language, legal systems, political institutions, and cultural values spread by the British Empire can still be found in many parts of the globe. The British Empire's impact on India, for example, is evident in the country's use of English as an official language, its parliamentary system of government, and its love of cricket. However, the British Empire also left behind a more troubling legacy. The artificial borders drawn by colonial powers in Africa and the Middle East, often with little regard for ethnic or religious divisions, have contributed to conflict and instability in these regions. The economic disparities between former colonial powers and their former colonies are a stark reminder of the exploitative nature of imperialism. The British Empire was a complex and contradictory phenomenon. It was a period of great power and prosperity for Britain, but it was also a time of exploitation, oppression and violence for many of those who lived under its rule. Understanding the history of the British Empire is essential for comprehending the world we live in today and for learning from the mistakes of the past. As the world plunged into the chaos of the First World War, the British Empire played a pivotal role in shaping the conflict and its outcomes. At its peak, the empire was not just a collection of territories, but a global network of resources and manpower. When war broke out in 1914, this vast empire mobilized millions of soldiers from across its dominions, colonies, and protectorates. From the trenches of the Western Front to the deserts of the Middle East, troops from India, Australia, Canada, New Zealand, and Africa fought alongside British soldiers. Their bravery and sacrifices were instrumental in key battles, such as the Battle of the Somme and the Gallipoli campaign. The empire's contributions extended beyond the battlefield, with resources and raw materials from the colonies fueling the war effort. However, the war also highlighted the strains within the empire. The heavy toll of casualties and the economic burden of the conflict sowed seeds of discontent and nationalist movements in many colonies. Promises of greater autonomy and self-governance were made to secure support during the war, but these promises were often unfulfilled, leading to increased demands for independence in the post-war years. The First World War marked a turning point for the British Empire. It showcased the strength and reach of the empire, but also exposed its vulnerabilities and the growing desire for self-determination among its subjects. The war's legacy would shape the geopolitical landscape for decades to come, setting the stage for the eventual decline of the British Empire. Understanding the role and impact of the British Empire during World War I is crucial for appreciating the complex and often contradictory nature of imperial history. It serves as a reminder of the interconnectedness of global events and the far-reaching consequences of conflict. Gap 3S. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the history of the British Empire. If you found this video insightful, please like, share, and subscribe for more historical explorations. The interwar period. The British Empire between the two world wars. As the echoes of the First World War began to fade, the British Empire found itself navigating a complex and rapidly changing world. The interwar years, from 1918 to 1939, were marked by both consolidation and challenge. The empire emerged from the Great War larger than ever, acquiring new territories under the League of Nations mandates, such as Palestine and parts of Africa. However, the war had also left deep scars. Economic strain, social upheaval, and a growing sense of disillusionment among its subjects. In the aftermath of World War I, the British government faced the monumental task of rebuilding its economy. The war had drained the empire's finances, leading to widespread austerity measures and economic hardship. Despite these challenges, the British Empire remained a dominant global force, with London continuing to be a centre of international finance and trade. Yet the interwar period also saw the rise of nationalist movements across the empire. In India, the struggle for independence gained momentum under the leadership of figures like Mahatma Gandhi and Jawaharlal Nehru. The Indian National Congress intensified its campaign for self-rule. challenging British authority with mass protests and acts of civil disobedience. Similar movements emerged in other colonies, such as Egypt, where demands for independence grew louder and more insistent. The British government attempted to address these challenges through a series of reforms and concessions. The Government of India Act of 1935 granted limited self-governance to India, while Egypt was granted nominal independence in 1922. Though British influence remained strong, these measures, however, were often seen as too little too late, failing to quell the growing tide of nationalist fervour. Internationally, the interwar years were dominated by the rise of new powers and ideologies. The British Empire had to contend with the growing threat of fascism in Europe and the expansionist ambitions of Japan in Asia. The League of Nations, established to promote peace and cooperation, proved ineffective in preventing the slide towards another global conflict. The interwar period was a time of both consolidation and challenge for the British Empire. It highlighted the empire's enduring strengths, but also exposed its vulnerabilities and the limits of its power. As the world moved inexorably towards the Second World War, the British Empire stood at a crossroads, its future uncertain and its legacy under increasing scrutiny. Understanding the interwar period is crucial for grasping the complexities of the British Empire's history. It was a time of profound change, setting the stage for the dramatic events that would unfold in the years to come. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the history of the British Empire. If you found this video insightful, please like, share, and subscribe for more historical explorations. As the world plunged into the turmoil of the Second World War, the British Empire once again found itself at the heart of a global conflict. The war, which lasted from 1939 to 1945, tested the empire's resilience, unity, and resolve like never before. The contributions and challenges faced by the British Empire during this period were immense and far-reaching. The British Empire, spanning continents and oceans, played a pivotal role in the Allied war effort. From Europe to Africa, Asia to the Pacific, British and colonial forces fought valiantly against the Axis powers. The empire's vast resources and strategic positions were crucial in sustaining the war effort. Troops from India, Africa, Canada, Australia, and New Zealand joined the fight, demonstrating the empire's global reach and solidarity. Yet the war also exposed deep fractures within the empire. The economic strain of sustaining a prolonged conflict was immense. Rationing, bombings, and the constant threat of invasion took their toll on the British population. In the colonies, the war intensified demands for independence and self-governance. The contributions of colonial soldiers were significant, but the war also highlighted the inequalities and injustices within the imperial system. In India, the Quit India movement of 1942, led by Mahatma Gandhi, called for an end to British rule. Despite the war effort, nationalist sentiments grew stronger and the British government faced increasing pressure to address these demands. Similarly, in Africa and the Caribbean, the war fueled aspirations for freedom and equality. The British Empire's military strategies and operations were complex and multifaceted. The Battle of Britain, the North African Campaign, the Burma Campaign, and the D-Day landings were just a few of the critical engagements that defined the Empire's wartime experience. The resilience and bravery of British and colonial forces were instrumental in turning the tide of the war. The end of World War II marked a turning point for the British Empire. Victory came at a great cost, and the post-war world was vastly different from the one that had entered the conflict. The economic devastation, coupled with the rising tide of nationalism, signaled the beginning of the end for the empire. The war had reshaped global power dynamics, and the British Empire, though victorious, emerged weakened and on the path to decolonization. Understanding the British Empire's role in World War II is essential for comprehending its eventual decline and the emergence of new nations. It was a time of heroism, sacrifice, and profound change. The legacy of the Empire's wartime contributions continues to be felt across the world. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the history of the British Empire. If you found this video insightful, please like, share, and subscribe for more historical explorations. As the echoes of World War II began to fade, the British Empire stood at a crossroads. The war had not only drained the empire's economic resources, but had also ignited a fervent desire for independence among its colonies. The post-war period marked the beginning of a profound transformation: decolonization. The process of decolonization was complex and varied from region to region. In India, the struggle for independence had been a long and arduous journey. The Quit India movement of 1942 had set the stage, and by 1947 India achieved its independence, leading to the creation of two separate states, India and Pakistan. This momentous event signaled the beginning of the end for the British Empire in Asia. In Africa, the winds of change were equally strong. Countries like Ghana, Kenya, and Nigeria embarked on their paths to self-governance, inspired by leaders such as Kwame Nkrumah and Jomo Kenyatta. The decolonization process was often fraught with challenges, as colonial powers were reluctant to relinquish control, leading to conflicts and negotiations that shaped the continent's future. The Caribbean islands too saw a wave of independence movements. Nations like Jamaica and Trinidad and Tobago gained their sovereignty in the 1960s, embracing their newfound identities while navigating the complexities of political and economic independence. The impact of decolonization was far-reaching. Newly independent nations faced the daunting task of nation-building, grappling with issues of governance, economic development, and social cohesion. The legacy of colonial rule left deep scars, but it also fostered a sense of resilience and determination among the people. For the British Empire, the process of decolonization marked a significant shift in global power dynamics. The once mighty empire saw its influence wane as new nations emerged on the world stage. The United Kingdom itself had to adapt to a new role in a rapidly changing world, focusing on rebuilding its economy and redefining its place in the international community. The era of decolonization was not just a political transformation, it was a profound human experience. It was a time of hope, struggle, and aspiration. The stories of those who fought for independence, the challenges they faced, and the dreams they pursued continue to resonate today. As we reflect on the post-war decolonization process, we are reminded of the enduring impact of these historical events. The journey from empire to independence was a pivotal chapter in the story of the modern world, shaping the identities and destinies of countless nations and peoples. Thank you for joining us in exploring this critical period in history. If you found this video insightful, please like, share, and subscribe for more historical explorations. As the British Empire's sunset, a new dawn emerged, the Commonwealth of Nations. This voluntary association of independent countries, many of which were former territories of the British Empire, symbolized a new era of cooperation and mutual respect. The Commonwealth was officially established in 1949 with the signing of the London Declaration. This pivotal moment marked the transition from empire to a community of equal nations, united not by colonial rule but by shared values and aspirations. The Commonwealth's formation was a testament to the enduring connections forged during the colonial era. Countries like India, Canada, Australia, and South Africa became founding members, paving the way for others to join. Today, the Commonwealth comprises 56 member states, spanning every continent and representing a diverse tapestry of cultures, languages, and histories. The significance of the Commonwealth lies in its commitment to promoting democracy, human rights, and economic development. Through initiatives like the Commonwealth Games and various educational programs, the organization fosters unity and understanding among its members. These efforts have not only strengthened diplomatic ties, but also provided platforms for cultural exchange and collaboration. One of the Commonwealth's most profound impacts has been in the realm of education. The Commonwealth Scholarship and Fellowship Plan, established in 1959, has enabled thousands of students from member countries to pursue higher education abroad, fostering a spirit of learning and innovation. The Commonwealth has also played a crucial role in addressing global challenges. From advocating for climate change action to supporting peace and security initiatives, the organization has demonstrated its commitment to creating a better world for all. Yet, the Commonwealth is not without its challenges. The legacy of colonialism still casts a long shadow, and issues of inequality and historical grievances continue to surface. However, the organization's ability to adapt and evolve has allowed it to remain relevant in an ever-changing global landscape. The Commonwealth of Nations stands as a symbol of hope and progress in the post-empire era. It represents a collective journey towards a future where cooperation and mutual respect prevail over domination and division. As we reflect on the formation and significance of the Commonwealth, we are reminded of the power of unity in diversity and the enduring legacy of those who envisioned a world beyond empire. Thank you for joining us in exploring the formation and significance of the Commonwealth of Nations. If you found this video insightful, please like, share, and subscribe for more historical explorations. As we stand in the present, the echoes of the British Empire's past resonate deeply within modern Britain. The legacy of an empire that once spanned the globe is woven into the very fabric of contemporary British society, shaping its culture, politics, and international relations. The influence of the British Empire is evident in the multicultural makeup of the United Kingdom. Cities like London, Birmingham, and Manchester are vibrant mosaics of diverse communities, many of whom trace their roots back to former colonies. This rich tapestry of cultures brings with it a fusion of traditions, languages, and cuisines, creating a dynamic and ever-evolving national identity. Politically, the legacy of the empire continues to shape Britain's role on the global stage. The United Kingdom's historical relationships with Commonwealth nations and former colonies influence its foreign policy and international diplomacy. The special relationship with the United States, a bond forged during the Empire's twilight years, remains a cornerstone of British foreign policy. Economically, the Empire's impact is still felt. The trade networks established during the colonial era have evolved into modern economic partnerships. British companies operate globally, and London remains one of the world's leading financial centres, a testament to the economic foundations laid during the Empire's heyday. Education and legal systems in Britain also bear the imprint of the empire. The English language, once a tool of colonial administration, is now a global lingua franca, facilitating international communication and commerce. The British legal system, with its principles of common law, has influenced judicial systems around the world. However, the imperial legacy is not without its complexities and controversies. The history of exploitation, slavery, and colonial oppression has left deep scars. Modern Britain grapples with these difficult aspects of its past through public discourse, education, and initiatives aimed at reconciliation and justice. Statues, museums, and public spaces serve as reminders of this multifaceted history, prompting reflection and dialogue about the empire's enduring impact. In recent years, movements advocating for decolonization and racial equality have gained momentum, challenging Britain to confront and address the darker chapters of its imperial history. These efforts are crucial in fostering a more inclusive and equitable society, acknowledging the contributions and experiences of those who were once subjects of the empire. As we look to the future, the legacy of the British Empire serves as both a foundation and a challenge. It is a foundation that has shaped modern Britain in profound ways, and a challenge that calls for ongoing reflection, understanding, and growth. The story of the British Empire is not just a tale of conquest and power, but also a narrative of resilience, adaptation, and transformation. Thank you for joining us in this exploration of modern Britain and its imperial legacy. If you found this video insightful, please like, share, and subscribe for more historical explorations. The British Empire's influence on global trade routes is a testament to its far-reaching impact on the world's economic landscape. One of the most significant instruments of this influence was the establishment of the East India Company in 1600. The East India Company, initially formed to exploit trade opportunities with the East Indies, quickly became a powerful force in global commerce. Its charter granted it a monopoly on English trade in the region, allowing it to establish trade routes that spanned continents. These routes facilitated the exchange of goods such as spices, tea, silk, and cotton, transforming the economic dynamics of the time. As the East India Company expanded, it established trading posts and settlements in key locations, including India, Southeast Asia, and China. These outposts became epicenters of commercial activity, drawing merchants, adventurers, and settlers from around the world. The company's influence extended beyond trade. as it played a crucial role in the political and military affairs of the regions it operated in. The trade routes established by the East India Company were not just conduits for goods, but also for ideas, technologies, and cultures. This exchange significantly impacted the societies involved, leading to a blending of traditions and the spread of innovations. However, it also led to conflicts and exploitation, as the company's pursuit of profit often came at the expense of local populations. The legacy of the East India Company and the trade routes it established is still evident today. Modern global trade networks owe much to the foundations laid during this era. The flow of goods, services, and information across borders continues to shape economies and societies worldwide. In conclusion, the British Empire's influence on global trade routes and the establishment of the East India Company were pivotal in shaping the modern world. These developments highlight the complex interplay of commerce, power, and culture that defined the imperial era. As we reflect on this history, we gain a deeper understanding of the forces that continue to shape our globalized world. Thank you for joining us in this exploration of the British Empire's impact on global trade. If you found this video insightful, please like, share, and subscribe for more historical explorations. The British Empire's extensive reach was not just a story of economic and political dominance, it was also a tale of profound cultural exchanges. As the British established their colonies across various continents, a significant and lasting impact was the spread of the English language. In India, Africa, the Americas, and the Caribbean, English became a lingua franca, facilitating communication and administration across diverse populations. The establishment of English as the medium of instruction in schools further entrenched its presence, creating generations of English-speaking individuals who would go on to play pivotal roles in their societies. But the cultural exchange was not one-sided. While the English language and British customs permeated the colonies, the empire itself was also profoundly influenced by the cultures it encountered. Indian cuisine, African music, Caribbean rhythms, and Asian art found their way back to Britain, enriching its cultural tapestry. These exchanges also extended to literature, philosophy, and scientific knowledge. Works of Indian literature were translated into English, while British authors like Rudyard Kipling drew inspiration from their experiences in the colonies. Philosophical ideas from the East mingled with Western thought, leading to new intellectual movements. However, these cultural exchanges were often marred by the darker aspects of imperialism. The imposition of British culture sometimes led to the erosion of indigenous traditions and languages. The spread of English and British customs often came at the expense of local identities and practices. Today, the legacy of these cultural exchanges is evident in these. The British Empire, with its vast network of colonies and trade routes, played a pivotal role in the spread of industrialization and technological advancements across the globe. The Industrial Revolution, which began in Britain in the late 18th century, brought about a wave of technological innovations that would transform economies and societies worldwide. As the British Empire expanded, so did the reach of these technological advancements. Railways, steamships, and telegraph lines were constructed across the colonies, revolutionizing transportation and communication. These infrastructures not only facilitated the efficient movement of goods and people, but also connected distant regions, fostering economic growth and integration. The British Empire also acted as a conduit for the transfer of knowledge and expertise. British engineers, scientists, and entrepreneurs traveled to the colonies, bringing with them new machinery, manufacturing techniques, and industrial practices. This exchange of knowledge spurred local industries and led to the establishment of factories, mines, and plantations, further embedding industrialization in the colonial economies. Moreover, the empire's emphasis on education and training played a crucial role in building a skilled workforce capable of operating and maintaining the new technologies. Technical schools and engineering colleges were established in various colonies, producing a generation of professionals who would contribute to the industrial growth of their regions. However, the spread of industrialization within the British Empire was not without its challenges and consequences. The focus on resource extraction and plantation agriculture often led to the exploitation of local labor and resources. Indigenous industries and traditional crafts were sometimes overshadowed or even destroyed by the influx of British manufactured goods. This economic transformation also brought about significant social changes, including urbanization, shifts in labor patterns, and the rise of a working class. In conclusion, the British Empire's role in the spread of industrialization and technological advancements was a double-edged sword. While it facilitated economic development and modernization in many regions, it also brought about profound social and economic disruptions. Today, the legacy of this industrial spread is evident in the global interconnectedness and technological progress that continue to shape our world. The British Empire's extensive reach and influence left an indelible mark on global politics and the formation of modern nation-states. As the empire expanded, it brought together diverse cultures, languages, and political systems under a single rule, often redrawing the map of the world in the process. This unification and subsequent governance had far-reaching consequences that are still visible today. One of the most significant impacts of British colonial rule was the establishment of political boundaries that have shaped the modern world. Many of today's nations were carved out of former British colonies, with borders often drawn with little regard for ethnic, linguistic, or cultural considerations. This has led to numerous conflicts and tensions that persist to this day, as communities struggle with the legacy of arbitrary divisions. The British Empire also introduced new political and administrative structures to its colonies. British legal systems, parliamentary practices, and bureaucratic institutions were implemented across the empire, laying the groundwork for modern governance in many regions. While these systems provided a framework for stability and order, they also often marginalized indigenous political traditions and leadership. Moreover, the British Empire played a pivotal role in the spread of democratic ideals and the concept of the nation-state. The struggle for independence from British rule in various colonies inspired movements for self-determination and national identity. Leaders such as Mahatma Gandhi in India and Kwame Nkrumah in Ghana emerged from the colonial context to advocate for sovereignty and the creation of independent, self-governing nations. However, the transition from colonial rule to independence was not always smooth. The process often involved significant political upheaval, violence, and conflict. The partition of India in 1947, which led to the creation of India and Pakistan, is a stark example of the human cost of decolonization, with millions displaced and countless lives lost. Despite these challenges, the legacy of the British Empire in shaping modern nation-states is undeniable. Many former colonies have adopted aspects of British governance, legal systems, and political practices, blending them with local traditions to create unique national identities. The Commonwealth of Nations, an organization of former British colonies, continues to foster cooperation and dialogue, reflecting the enduring connections forged during the colonial era. In conclusion, the British Empire's impact on global politics and the formation of modern nation-states is complex and multifaceted. While it facilitated the spread of political institutions and democratic ideals, it also left behind a legacy of conflict and division. Understanding this history is crucial for navigating the contemporary political landscape and fostering a more inclusive and equitable world. Throughout its history, the British Empire was a key player in numerous significant global conflicts beyond the world wars. One of the most prominent of these was the Napoleonic Wars, a series of conflicts that spanned from 1803 to 1815 and reshaped the European political landscape. The Napoleonic Wars pitted the British Empire against Napoleonic France, as well as its allies, in a struggle for dominance over Europe and global trade routes. The British Royal Navy played a crucial role in these conflicts, enforcing blockades to restrict French trade and projecting British power across the seas. One of the most famous naval battles of the Napoleonic Wars was the Battle of Trafalgar in 1805. Under the command of Admiral Lord Nelson, the British fleet decisively defeated the combined French and Spanish navies, ensuring British naval supremacy. This victory not only thwarted Napoleon's plans to invade Britain, but also secured British control over key maritime routes, allowing the empire to expand its influence further. On land, the British Army was also heavily involved in the Peninsular War, fighting alongside Spanish and Portuguese forces against the French. Under the leadership of the Duke of Wellington, British forces achieved significant victories, culminating in the Battle of Waterloo in 1815. This decisive battle ended Napoleon's reign and marked the beginning of a new era of British dominance in Europe. Beyond the Napoleonic Wars, the British Empire was also engaged in conflicts across its vast colonial territories. The Anglo-Zulu War of 1879, for instance, saw British forces clashing with the Zulu Kingdom in South Africa. Despite initial setbacks, such as the famous defeat at the Battle of Isandlwana, the British eventually emerged victorious, further expanding their control in the region. In Asia, the British Empire was involved in the Opium Wars with China during the mid-19th century. These conflicts were primarily driven by trade disputes and the British desire to open Chinese markets to Western goods, particularly opium. The resulting treaties, such as the Treaty of Nanking in 1842, granted the British significant commercial advantages and territorial concessions, including the cession of Hong Kong. The British Empire's involvement in these and other conflicts highlights its role as a global military power, shaping the course of history through warfare and diplomacy. These wars not only expanded British territorial holdings, but also reinforced its economic and political dominance on the world stage. In conclusion, the British Empire's participation in major global conflicts beyond the World Wars, such as the Napoleonic Wars, the Anglo-Zulu War, and the Opium Wars, played a crucial role in shaping its legacy as a formidable global power. Understanding these conflicts provides valuable insights into the empire's strategies, ambitions, and the lasting impact of its military engagements on world history. The British Empire's economic policies were instrumental in shaping the economies of its vast array of colonies. These policies were primarily designed to benefit the British economy, often at the expense of local industries and communities in the colonies. One of the key features of British economic strategy was the implementation of the mercantile system, which aimed to maximize exports and minimize imports to benefit the mother country. In India, for example, the British East India Company and later the British Crown imposed policies that transformed the region into a supplier of raw materials and a market for British manufactured goods. This led to the decline of traditional industries, such as textile manufacturing, which had previously been a major economic driver in the region. The forced cultivation of cash crops like indigo and opium further disrupted local agriculture, leading to food shortages and famines. In Africa, the British Empire's economic policies were similarly exploitative. The extraction of natural resources such as minerals and rubber was prioritized over the development of local economies. Infrastructure projects, like railways and ports, were primarily designed to facilitate resource extraction and export, often providing little benefit to the local population. The Caribbean colonies experienced the brutal implementation of plantation economies, reliant on the labor of enslaved Africans. The focus on sugar and other cash crops created economies heavily dependent on a single industry, making them vulnerable to market fluctuations and economic instability. These economic policies had far-reaching consequences. In many former colonies, the focus on cash crops and resource extraction left economies underdeveloped and dependent on a narrow range of exports. The suppression of local industries and the prioritization of British economic interests created structural imbalances that persisted long after the end of colonial rule. Moreover, the legacy of these policies is evident in the modern economic challenges faced by many former colonies. Issues such as poverty, unequal land distribution, and economic dependency can often be traced back to the economic strategies imposed during the colonial period. In conclusion, the British Empire's economic policies were designed to extract maximum benefit for the mother country, often at great cost to the colonies. The long-term effects of these policies continue to shape the economic landscapes of former colonies, highlighting the enduring impact of colonial rule on global economic development. As we delve deeper into the history of the British Empire, it's essential to highlight the contributions of notable figures who left an indelible mark on the world. These individuals, through their explorations, scientific advancements, and leadership, played pivotal roles in shaping the course of history. One of the most renowned explorers of the British Empire was Captain James Cook. His voyages in the 18th century led to the detailed mapping of the Pacific, including the coastlines of Australia, New Zealand, and Hawaii. Cook's expeditions expanded the geographical knowledge of the time and opened new territories for British influence and settlement. In the realm of science, Sir Isaac Newton stands as a towering figure. Although his work predated the height of the British Empire, Newton's contributions to mathematics, physics, and astronomy laid the foundations for the scientific revolution that followed. His laws of motion and universal gravitation profoundly influenced the scientific community and the technological advancements that the British Empire would later champion. Another key figure was Sir Joseph Banks, a naturalist who accompanied Captain Cook on his first voyage. Banks's extensive documentation of flora and fauna from around the world enriched scientific understanding and contributed to the establishment of the Royal Botanic Gardens at Kew, which became a centre for botanical research and exploration. In terms of leadership, Queen Victoria's reign marked the zenith of the British Empire. Her influence extended far beyond the borders of Britain, as she presided over an era of unprecedented expansion and industrialization. Under her rule, the British Empire grew to become the largest empire in history, and her legacy is still evident in the cultural and political landscapes of many former colonies. Winston Churchill, though primarily known for his leadership during World War II, also played a significant role in the later years of the British Empire. His speeches and policies during the war galvanized the British people and their allies, contributing to the eventual victory over the Axis powers. Churchill's vision and determination helped shape the post-war world and the transition of the British Empire into the Commonwealth. These figures, among many others, exemplify the diverse contributions that individuals made to the British Empire. Their achievements in exploration, science, and leadership not only advanced British interests, but also had a lasting impact on global history. In conclusion, the legacy of the British Empire is not solely defined by its policies and conquests, but also by the remarkable individuals who shaped its course. Their contributions continue to be remembered and celebrated, highlighting the complex and multifaceted history of the British Empire. As we transition from the monumental figures who shaped the British Empire, it is crucial to understand how the legacy of this vast empire continues to influence contemporary global institutions and international relations. The British Empire's extensive network of colonies laid the groundwork for many of today's global institutions. The Commonwealth of Nations, for instance, is a direct descendant of the British Empire. This voluntary association of 54 independent countries, many of which were former British colonies, works towards promoting democracy, human rights, and economic development. The Commonwealth serves as a testament to the enduring relationships forged during the Empire's height. Moreover, the English language, spread by the British Empire, has become the global lingua franca. This linguistic legacy facilitates international diplomacy, trade, and cultural exchange, making English a cornerstone of global communication. The British Empire's influence is also evident in the legal and political systems of many former colonies. The principles of common law, parliamentary democracy, and bureaucratic governance have been adopted and adapted by numerous countries, shaping their judicial and administrative frameworks. In international relations, the legacy of the British Empire can be seen in the formation of alliances and geopolitical strategies. The United Kingdom's permanent seat on the United Nations Security Council, its membership in the G7 and G20, and its role in NATO are all reflective of its historical global influence. These positions enable the UK to continue playing a significant role in shaping international policies and addressing global challenges. Furthermore, the British Empire's history of trade and commerce has left an indelible mark on global economic systems. The establishment of trade routes and the spread of industrialization facilitated by the empire have contributed to the interconnected global economy we experience today. In conclusion, the legacy of the British Empire is deeply woven into the fabric of contemporary global institutions and international relations. While its history is complex and multifaceted, the enduring impact of the British Empire continues to shape the world in profound ways, reflecting both its contributions and its controversies. As we reflect on this legacy, it is essential to recognize the ongoing influence of the British Empire in shaping our modern world, acknowledging both the positive advancements and the challenges that arose from its expansive reach. As we delve deeper into the legacy of the British Empire, it is imperative to examine its role in the abolition of slavery and the subsequent social changes that rippled across the globe. The British Empire, once a formidable force in the transatlantic slave trade, underwent a significant transformation in the late 18th and early 19th centuries. The abolitionist movement gained momentum, driven by the tireless efforts of individuals such as William Wilberforce, Olaudah Equiano, and Thomas Clarkson. These advocates exposed the brutal realities of slavery, galvanizing public opinion and political will. In 1807, the British Parliament passed the Abolition of the Slave Trade Act, marking a pivotal moment in history. This legislation made it illegal to engage in the slave trade within the British Empire. However, the journey towards full emancipation was still far from complete. The Slavery Abolition Act of 1833 was a landmark achievement, legally freeing over 800,000 enslaved people across the British colonies. This act not only marked the end of legal slavery within the empire, but also set a precedent for other nations to follow. The British Navy played a crucial role in enforcing the abolition, patrolling the Atlantic to intercept and seize illegal slave ships. The abolition of slavery had profound social and economic implications. Freed individuals began to forge new lives, contributing to the cultural and economic fabric of their societies. However, the transition was fraught with challenges, including systemic discrimination and economic hardship. The British Empire's commitment to abolition also influenced global attitudes towards slavery. The moral and ethical arguments put forth by British abolitionists resonated worldwide, inspiring similar movements in other countries. The ripple effect of abolition can be seen in the gradual dismantling of slavery in other parts of the world, eventually leading to a more widespread recognition of human rights. In reflection, the British Empire's role in the abolition of slavery is a testament to the power of advocacy, legislation, and moral conviction. It highlights the capacity for societal change and the enduring impact of collective action. While the legacy of the British Empire is complex, the abolition of slavery stands as a significant chapter that continues to inspire the ongoing fight for justice and equality. As we consider this legacy, it is essential to acknowledge both the progress made and the enduring challenges that remain. The story of abolition is a reminder of the importance of resilience, compassion, and the relentless pursuit of a more just world. As we continue to explore the multifaceted legacy of the British Empire, it is crucial to examine the environmental impact of its expansion and resource extraction. The British Empire's vast reach across continents led to significant ecological changes that continue to affect the planet today. The drive for resources fueled the empire's expansion, leading to widespread deforestation, mining, and agricultural exploitation. In the Americas, the Caribbean, Africa, and Asia, vast tracts of land were cleared for plantations, often at the expense of indigenous ecosystems and communities. The introduction of cash crops such as sugar, cotton, and tea altered local landscapes and economies, creating monocultures that disrupted biodiversity. In India, the British emphasis on the cultivation of indigo, tea, and opium had profound environmental consequences. Forests were cleared to make way for plantations, leading to soil erosion and loss of habitat for native species. The construction of extensive railway networks to facilitate the transport of these goods further fragmented ecosystems and contributed to environmental degradation. The exploitation of mineral resources also left a lasting environmental footprint. In South Africa, gold and diamond mining transformed the landscape, causing pollution and depleting natural resources. The extraction processes often involved the use of toxic chemicals which contaminated water sources and soil, affecting both human and animal populations. The British Empire's maritime activities also played a role in reshaping marine environments. Overfishing and the hunting of marine mammals such as whales and seals for their oil and other products led to the depletion of these species and disrupted marine ecosystems. The environmental legacy of the British Empire is complex and multifaceted. While it contributed to the global spread of agricultural and industrial practices, it also brought about significant ecological disruption and resource depletion. The introduction of non-native species, deforestation, and the overexploitation of natural resources have had lasting effects on biodiversity and ecological health. In contemporary times, the environmental challenges faced by former colonies can often be traced back to the practices and policies implemented during the era of the British Empire. Addressing these challenges requires a nuanced understanding of historical contexts and a commitment to sustainable development. As we reflect on the environmental impact of the British Empire, it is essential to recognize the interconnectedness of historical actions and current ecological issues. By learning from the past, we can better navigate the path towards a more sustainable and equitable future. As we delve deeper into the legacy of the British Empire, it is essential to explore its profound influence on global art, literature, and cultural movements. The British Empire's vast reach across continents facilitated an unprecedented exchange of ideas, aesthetics, and cultural practices that continue to shape our world today. In the realm of art, the British Empire played a pivotal role in the dissemination and fusions of styles and techniques. British artists and collectors were exposed to a diverse array of artistic traditions from Asia, Africa, and the Americas. This cultural exchange led to the incorporation of exotic motifs and themes into British art, while simultaneously introducing Western artistic practices to colonized regions. The result was a rich tapestry of cross-cultural influences that can be seen in both contemporary and historical artworks. Literature, too, was profoundly impacted by the British Empire. The works of British authors such as Rudyard Kipling, E.M. Forster, and George Orwell provide critical insights into the complexities of imperialism and its effects on both the colonizers and the colonized. At the same time, writers from colonized nations, such as Rabindranath Tagore and Chinua Achebe, used their literary voices to challenge colonial narratives and assert their own cultural identities. This dynamic interplay between British and colonial literature has enriched the global literary canon, offering diverse perspectives and fostering a deeper understanding of the human experience. Cultural movements were also significantly shaped by the British Empire. The spread of the English language facilitated the global dissemination of British cultural practices, from fashion and music to education and governance. The British Empire's influence can be seen in the adoption of Western-style education systems, legal frameworks and social norms in many former colonies. At the same time, colonized cultures left an indelible mark on British society, contributing to the multiculturalism that characterizes modern Britain. The British Empire's impact on global art, literature, and cultural movements is a testament to the power of cultural exchange and the interconnectedness of human societies. While the legacy of imperialism is fraught with complexities and contradictions, it has also given rise to a rich and diverse cultural heritage that continues to inspire and inform our world today. As we reflect on this legacy, it is important to acknowledge both the positive and negative aspects of cultural exchange under the British Empire. By doing so, we can foster a more nuanced understanding of our shared history and pave the way for a more inclusive and equitable future. As we continue to explore the legacy of the British Empire, it is crucial to examine the process of decolonization and the challenges faced by newly independent nations. The road to independence was often fraught with political, social, and economic obstacles, but it also heralded a new era of self-determination and national identity. The decolonization process began in earnest after World War II, as the geopolitical landscape shifted and the demand for self-governance grew stronger. The war had weakened many European powers, and the rise of nationalist movements within the colonies, coupled with international pressure, made it increasingly difficult for the British Empire to maintain its grip on its territories. One of the earliest and most significant milestones in this process was the independence of India in 1947. The partition of India into two separate states, India and Pakistan, was a tumultuous and painful event, marked by widespread violence and mass migrations. The newly independent nations faced the enormous task of building stable governments, establishing their economies, and healing the deep-seated wounds left by colonial rule. Throughout Africa, the journey to independence was equally challenging. Countries like Ghana, Kenya, and Nigeria had to navigate the complex legacy of colonialism, which often included arbitrary borders, ethnic divisions, and underdeveloped infrastructures. Leaders such as Kwame Nkrumah in Ghana and Jomo Kenyatta in Kenya emerged as pivotal figures in the fight for independence, inspiring their people to reclaim their sovereignty and shape their own futures. Yet the path to self-governance was not without its struggles. Newly independent nations grappled with political instability, economic dependency, and social upheaval. The legacy of colonialism left many countries with economies that were heavily reliant on a single export commodity, making them vulnerable to global market fluctuations. Additionally, the lack of established political institutions and experienced leadership often led to internal conflicts and authoritarian regimes. Despite these challenges, the resilience and determination of the people in these nations paved the way for progress and development. Decolonization also brought about a renewed sense of cultural pride and identity, as countries sought to reclaim their heritage and traditions that had been suppressed during colonial rule. The process of decolonization and the struggles faced by newly independent nations underscore the complexities of overcoming a colonial past. It is a testament to the enduring spirit of those who fought for their freedom and the ongoing efforts to build a more just and equitable world. As we reflect on this chapter of history, it is essential to recognize both the achievements and the challenges of decolonization. By understanding the past, we can better appreciate the resilience of nations that emerged from the shadow of empire and continue to strive for a brighter future. The British Empire played a pivotal role in the development of global trade networks and the early stages of economic globalization. As one of the most expansive empires in history, its influence extended across continents, shaping the economic landscape of the modern world. The establishment of the British East India Company in 1600 marked the beginning of a new era in global trade. This powerful trading corporation not only facilitated the exchange of goods such as spices, textiles, and tea, but also laid the groundwork for British dominance in international commerce. By securing key trading posts and forging alliances with local rulers, the British East India Company became a cornerstone of Britain's economic might. The empire's vast network of colonies and trading routes enabled the flow of commodities, capital, and labor across the globe. The triangular trade system, which connected Europe, Africa, and the Americas, epitomized the interconnectedness of the British Empire's economic activities. This system not only fueled the growth of industries such as sugar, tobacco, and cotton, but also had profound social and cultural impacts on the regions involved. Moreover, the British Empire's investment in infrastructure such as railways, ports, and telegraph lines facilitated the movement of goods and information, further integrating global markets. These advancements in transportation and communication technologies were crucial in accelerating the pace of economic globalization. However, the benefits of this global trade network were not evenly distributed. While the British economy flourished, many colonies experienced exploitation and economic dependency. The extraction of resources and the imposition of monoculture economies often left colonies vulnerable to market fluctuations and hindered their long-term development. Despite these inequalities, the legacy of the British Empire's global trade networks can still be seen today. The English language, legal systems, and financial institutions established during the colonial era continue to influence international business practices and economic policies. In conclusion, the British Empire's role in the development of global trade networks and economic globalization was both transformative and complex. It set the stage for the interconnected world we live in today, highlighting the enduring impact of historical economic practices on contemporary global dynamics. The British Empire's influence extended beyond economics and politics. It also played a crucial role in the realm of scientific discoveries and innovations. Throughout its expansive history, the empire provided a fertile ground for the exchange of knowledge and the advancement of science. In the 18th and 19th centuries, the British Empire became a hub for scientific exploration and research. The Royal Society, founded in 1660, was instrumental in promoting scientific inquiry and fostering collaboration among the brightest minds of the age. It was through these networks that groundbreaking discoveries were made, from Isaac Newton's laws of motion to Charles Darwin's theory of evolution. The empire's global reach facilitated the collection of diverse biological specimens, geological samples, and astronomical data. Expeditions to distant lands brought back invaluable knowledge about the natural world. For instance, Captain James Cook's voyages in the Pacific not only expanded geographical understanding but also contributed to the study of botany and anthropology. Moreover, the British Empire's investment in education and institutions laid the groundwork for future scientific advancements. Universities such as Oxford, Cambridge, and the University of Edinburgh became centres of innovation, producing renowned scientists and engineers. These institutions fostered an environment where ideas could flourish and be tested, leading to significant technological breakthroughs. The Industrial Revolution, which began in Britain, was a period of unprecedented technological progress. Innovations such as the steam engine, the spinning jenny, and the telegraph transformed industries and societies. British inventors and engineers, driven by the Empire's vast resources and markets, played a pivotal role in shaping the modern world. However, it is essential to acknowledge that the benefits of these scientific advancements were not equally shared. The exploitation of colonies for resources and labor often fueled the empire's progress, leaving a complex legacy of both innovation and inequality. Despite these challenges, the British Empire's contributions to science and technology have had a lasting impact. From the development of vaccines to advancements in transportation and communication, the legacy of British scientific discoveries continues to influence our lives today. In conclusion, the British Empire's role in scientific discoveries and innovations was profound. It fostered an environment where knowledge could be pursued and shared, leading to many of the technological advancements that define our modern world. The enduring influence of these contributions underscores the complex and multifaceted legacy of the British Empire. The British Empire's influence extended beyond scientific discoveries and technological advancements. It also had a profound impact on global education systems and the spread of Western education. As the empire expanded, so did its educational philosophies and institutions, leaving an indelible mark on the world. During the height of the British Empire, education was seen as a tool for both governance and cultural assimilation. British educational models were introduced in colonies across Africa, Asia, the Caribbean, and the Pacific. These systems aimed to produce a class of educated individuals who could assist in the administration of colonial rule while also spreading Western ideals and knowledge. In many colonies, mission schools were established by religious organizations, often with the support of the British government. These schools provided basic education, focusing on literacy, arithmetic, and religious instruction. Over time, more advanced institutions were founded, offering higher education and specialized training. The introduction of the English language as the medium of instruction played a significant role in shaping educational systems. English became the lingua franca in many parts of the world, facilitating communication and trade, but also imposing a cultural hegemony that often marginalized indigenous languages and knowledge systems. Universities modelled after British institutions such as the University of Calcutta in India and Makerere University in Uganda became centres of higher learning and intellectual exchange. These institutions produced a generation of leaders, scholars, and professionals who would go on to play pivotal roles in their respective countries after independence. However, the spread of Western education through the British Empire was not without its challenges and criticisms. The imposition of foreign educational models often disrupted traditional learning systems and cultural practices. In some cases, access to education was limited to a privileged few, reinforcing social inequalities and creating a divide between the educated elite and the broader population. Despite these complexities, the legacy of the British Empire's influence on global education systems is evident today. Many former colonies have retained elements of the British educational model, from curriculum structures to examination systems. The use of English as a global language of instruction continues to facilitate international collaboration and access to knowledge. In conclusion, the British Empire's impact on global education systems and the spread of Western education is a testament to its far-reaching influence. While it brought about significant advancements in literacy and learning, it also left behind a legacy of cultural imposition and inequality. Understanding this duality is essential in appreciating the complex history of education in the context of the British Empire.